Hello, my name is Grace and in today's video I'm going to be talking all about our newborn favourites and all the products that helped us out the most, the products we used the most in those newborn days. Now, I wanted to hold off before I filmed this video. My son is now 3 months old, so I can confirm that everything that I'm going to be talking about in this video were helpful to us in those early days with your new baby. We are first time parents living in the UK, so these are the sort of things that helped us as a new family. Just quickly before I get into the video, the thing that I learned about having a newborn is that those days are focused on all of the following. So first of all, they are focused on learning about your baby and what your baby likes, most importantly. So the things that I talk about in this video might not be helpful for your baby, but they did help our baby. But it's always worth bearing that in mind with these types of videos. So those sort of beginning days with your little baby are all about learning the ropes with them and exactly what they like. So bear that in mind throughout this video. And another thing that those newborn days are focused all around is trying to get some sleep and rest, all of you as a new family, which is definitely challenging in those early days. But a lot of these products that I'm going to talk about definitely helped us. And then last of all is feeding your baby and whatever way you choose to feed them and getting them to a healthy weight and just establishing sort of feeding so that they are full and satisfied and a happy baby. So all of those things basically are just part of getting to grips with newborn life, and all of the products I'm about to tell you definitely helped us in those newborn days. So without further ado, bear all that in mind. I'm going to talk firstly about all the things that helped us as a family get some better sleep. Okay, first up I am going to talk about this little lifesaver because it is the easiest thing for me to show you. Some of these things are going to be too big, I can't hold them up, so I will insert cutaways while I'm talking about them, but I can hold this, and this is the myHummy Mini. And you might be thinking, what the hell has this got to do with a newborn baby? Well, let me tell you, this is a brilliant product. If you Google the 4th trimester, or if you ever experience a colicky baby, there are 5 S's in comforting your newborn baby, and one of them is a shushing sound. I will leave the information that I'm talking about in the description box, but basically there are a lot of things you could do with your newborn to help them adjust to the outside world, because obviously they've been used to being inside your body. It's really comfortable and warm, and the sound that they will hear you can replicate with this white noise machine. So it is nice and small, it's the size of my hand, and it's got a little velcro at the back so you can adjust it wherever you want, or it's soft so that your baby can cuddle it when they're old enough to. Obviously a newborn won't be cuddling this, but we have been strapping this onto our bedside cot, and you pop it on with the button. So it's supposed to replicate the kind of noise that your baby is used to hearing inside of you. So I'll turn that off now, just so I thought I'd let you hear it. And my son absolutely loved his myHummy, and ever since we started using this and the other things that I'm going to talk about in conjunction, we were getting such a good night's sleep. It is just a comforting sleep aid for your newborn, because obviously they're, like I just said, they're used to that comfortable, warm environment, and suddenly they're in this big, cold, quiet world, and newborn babies don't actually like quiet. So having a white noise teddy bear machine is so invaluable in helping them feel more comfortable, and the more comfortable your baby is, the better they are going to sleep. That is so important, and that I cannot stress that enough in basically your newborn days. If you want them to sleep, they've got to have full tummy, clean nappy and comfortable, and this myHummy Mini has been absolutely invaluable in helping us get to sleep. So I would 110% recommend this to any pregnant women or baby shower gifts. myHummy Mini, because it's really nice and small, and your little baby is going to love it. Okay, next up, on a similar note to helping your baby get to sleep, I would recommend trying one of these sleeping bags. Now, we have just got one from Tesco's, but everywhere sells these sleeping bags. And as I mentioned a minute ago about the 5 S's in helping your newborn adjust to the outside life, one of them is Swaddle. Now, my son, I'll show you this, then I'll pop it down. My son actually didn't really like being swaddled with his arms in the blanket. For some reason or other, he wants his arms to be free when he's sleeping. But with the sleeping bag, his little legs can be all snug and his arms can be free, and it makes them feel quite warm. You can get different tog ones for whatever season your newborn baby is going to be born in. Obviously, I've just had a spring-summer baby, so I've got a lighter tog one. And my son really enjoys his sleeping bags. It stops his sort of legs trashing about all over the place, and it just keeps him sort of more enclosed. And again, it sort of is to replicate that snug womb-like environment. So yeah, a sleeping bag, really affordable. You can pick them up in supermarkets, online. I would definitely recommend one of those. Helped my son Elliot in sleeping a lot more comfortably alongside his myHummy. Okay, and on very similar notes to that, I can't hold it up because it's a little bit too big for me to show you, but I'll insert a cutaway, and it is the Sleepyhead. So this is basically, again, as I just said, it's to create that sort of snug room-like environment for your newborn. When we brought Elliot home from the hospital, he was a fairly small baby. He was 6 pounds something, and we put him in his bedside cot, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And he was just lost. He was really small. His arms were going all over the show, and he was just not comfortable in this big cot. So the Sleepyhead is sort of like a snug mattress, you'll see from the cutaways that I'm showing you, and it keeps your baby kind of feeling a little bit more cozy, and just like they're in that kind of womb environment. Definitely, if you're watching this video, I would recommend researching the 4th trimester. It's really interesting about helping your baby adjust to life outside the womb, and it will help you in your newborn days, definitely. So that kind of Sleepyhead almost creates that, or it helps you make that sort of like swaddle, so that the baby is nice and snug and stuff like that. They are expensive, Sleepyheads, and not every baby will need this necessarily, but my son was so lost in his cot. Like I say, sort of, he was all arms and legs, bless him. He didn't really like being swaddled with a blanket, and so I think we got a sleeping bag at around week 4 or 5. I wish we'd have got it from a newborn. He'd have been so much more comfortable. The myHummy, the white noise, and the sleeping bag and the Sleepyhead were all invaluable in helping us get some of that precious sleep in the early days. I'm not promising any miracles, but it definitely helped us set a better sleeping pattern, I would say. So to top that all off, the product that we used was the Snuzpod 3 in Dove Grey. We were given this by Oliver's grandparents as a sort of present before Elliot was born, and it is basically just like a bedside cot if you're going to be doing co-sleeping, which we have done, and we're planning on doing that with Elliot until he's 6 months, as it's recommended. The Snuzpod is a bedside cot. It is movable, so you can move it to your bed. The side can come down if you want. We don't use that facility anymore, but we did in the newborn days, because no shame in trial and error in the newborn days. And actually, going back to the Sleepyhead, for a couple of weeks we used the Sleepyhead. We co-slept with Elliot, and we put it at the top of our bed because he was not happy in his Snuzpod for a couple of weeks. He just really needed the comfort of his mum and dad near him, and you are allowed to co-sleep with the Sleepyhead. I wouldn't say that it was great, because me and Oliver were a little bit squashed, because obviously you've got to make sure the baby's safe, but because of the side, they can't roll out and you can't roll onto them. But yeah, he didn't really like his Snuzpod for a couple of weeks, but he was in his Sleepyhead, and then from there we transferred him back into his Snuzpod. So there was only a couple of weeks where he didn't really like the Snuzpod, and ever since then the Snuzpod has been our bedside cot from basically day one, and then apart from those 2 weeks where he didn't want to go in there. It's okay to try things out, see what your baby likes, see what you like. So yeah, the Snuzpod, you can have the side down. We tried that for a little bit, but I just found that a little bit too restrictive because I get up in the night to go to the loo and you sort of have to clamber around it. If it works for you, great. That is absolutely fine, but we didn't really work that well for us. So the Snuzpod is just to the left of my bed a little bit, and it's worked really well. You can rock it. So again, that goes along with that 5 S's because I think one of them is to swing, so like a rocking motion basically. All these things definitely help your newborn just get used to their new life in the outside world. So if your baby likes to be rocked, you can do that with the Snuzpod. Yeah, we've really enjoyed and got so much use out of the Snuzpod. And we use the bottom of it to have a little basket with his nappy changing bits. So yeah, it's really useful and we've enjoyed it a lot. To take the top bit of the crib off of the Snuzpod if you want to move it around the house, should you need to. We haven't really used that feature that much, but you can if you want to. So it's a really versatile product if you're planning on co-sleeping, which is recommended in the first sort of few months of your baby's life. Okay, so another thing which we have got so much use out of, I can actually show you this one, but I will insert cutaways because it's not going to do it much justice. This Baby Bjorn Move carrier in grey. This is what it looks like held up, but if you watch my vlogs, you will have heard me rabbit on about this carrier. It is mesh, as you can see, and this is just the colour grey, I believe, and it's this mesh material. It's really lightweight. I'm going to put it down because my son's asleep in the room with me. I don't want to wake him up. And you can use it from a newborn as long as your baby is £7. So we could pretty much use this. I think Elliot was £7 a couple of weeks after he was born, so it's basically for newborns up to £26, so approximately 15 months. And they can be facing you for the first 6 months, and then after 6 months they can face outwards with this carrier, and it's fully adjustable. It is so comfortable. My baby is now quite a chunk and he still feels quite light in this carrier. It's really beautifully designed so that your baby almost feels lightweight. It's super supportive for you and the baby, so it's definitely designed with parent and baby in mind. And it's this very fashionable grey colour, as I said, and in those newborn days your baby wants to be on mum and dad, especially mum if you're breastfeeding. And they don't want to be put down. It's normal, it's okay, but you know, if you need to get things done or if your partner's gone back to work, having a carrier like this is just, you can get that balance of your baby's on you, but if you need to get something done, you can do it because you've got both your hands and you're not sort of trying to carry a newborn baby while doing something. Or, you know, if your baby's a little bit too small for their pram in those early days, a carrier like this is perfect. It is so comfortable. It's got, especially designed, it's got loads of adjustable areas, and the baby just feels so snug in it. It's like, it takes a couple of days getting used to because obviously it's not natural to have your baby on you and both your hands free, but it is just a lifesaver and we use it so much. I used it more when he was a newborn than I've been using it recently because we've had a bit of a heat wave and, you know, that extra body heat isn't really great at the moment. But yeah, in those newborn days when Elliot just needed the comfort of his mum and dad, that Baby Bjorn carrier was incredible and I just cannot recommend it enough. And because it lasts until he's 15 months, if we want to go on some family walks in the autumn and stuff and we want to go off-road where we can't pram it, that is going to be really useful. It's absolutely just, yeah, I would definitely recommend that carrier. It is on the pricier side, but you will absolutely get your money's worth out of it, especially in those newborn days, because your baby just wants to be attached to another human being because that's what it's been used to in your belly. So that Baby Bjorn carrier is amazing. You've seen me wear it in my vlogs. If you're familiar with my channel, I wear it all the time, and and I'm sure we're still going to get so much use out of it. I'm really looking forward to putting Elliot in it facing out, because I'm sure he's going to love that. He's getting more to an age now where he's interacting with the outside world, so he'll soon enjoy that function of it. We haven't used that yet, he's been still facing inwards. So yeah, that carrier is just amazing. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to talk about, as I mentioned at the start of the video, is in those newborn days, in getting your baby to be content, is feeding them, making sure they've got a full stomach and they haven't got any wind in their belly and stuff like that. So the first thing I'm going to recommend is actually a free baby tracker app, and whatever way you choose to feed your baby, I'll actually put a little bit on the screen here so you can see the app for yourself. Whatever way you choose to feed them, if you're breastfeeding, if you're bottle feeding, this app just really actually made me feel quite accountable for how frequently I was feeding. I would especially recommend it if you're breastfeeding. Some people don't like having the apps, they find them a bit of a faff, but for me it was making me really accountable for how long it had been since Elliot had fed. And it's surprising how quickly the time goes, and when you're making a note of it in this app, all you have to do is press play or like start, basically, when you start feeding them, and then you press the stop button when you're done. And also it's really good if you're breastfeeding, because you can put left or right breast, so you know what side to start the next feeding session. And it just really made me accountable for keeping on top of feeding him. Like in those early days, you don't know their cries so well. A cry just sounds like a cry. The older they get, you get more used to what their cry means, but in those early days you're a bit like, what do you want? And when you're breastfeeding, the milk definitely gets digested quicker, so they get hungrier quicker. And just checking my little app, it was surprising how long it had been since he'd last fed, and it definitely helped me to decipher a hunger cry between a different cry. And yeah, it's just kept me really accountable. But like I say, if you're choosing to bottle feed, you can also use this app. It's got other functions like wet and dry nappies and sleep and stuff, but I have just been using it to track my breastfeeding. And yeah, it's been really, really helpful. And he's actually been a lot happier since I started using that app. I didn't use it from day one. I think I probably started using it around a month, but I wish I'd started using it before a month. Basically when Elliot had a little bit of colic, I downloaded this app to just keep me on track of his feeds and everything like that. So it's just a free app, it's really easy to use, and I definitely recommend using that just to keep you on top of like how long it's been since your baby's fed, and you can use it for other things if you wish to. And then a really, really basic one, but definitely an essential for us and a favourite, has been muslins. Never know if you're going to get a bit of a sicky baby. These are just the Thread and Flow, like sort of safari animals muslins from Tesco's that I think we were given as a present when Elliot was born. And we have got so many muslins, like basically in every room of the house, because even though you might feed him in the living room, you might stand up with your child, and the kind of movement makes them sometimes have a little bit of sick. Or now that my son is 3 months old, he's got a lot more drooly because those teeth are probably starting to kick in his gums. So muslins are definitely have been a favourite for us in this household, especially in the early days, because they are sick quite a bit. It's very normal. I think if they're sick a lot, it's not normal, but you know, babies are going to chuck up and spit up their milk, especially if you're giving them too much, or you know, you just never know. So muslins, absolutely 100% use them every single day. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about to do with feeding is this nursing pillow. I actually mentioned this in my pregnancy favourites because I use this to support my back, and I slept with it between my legs when I was pregnant because I had really, really achy hips in my latter pregnancy days. But since I've had Elliot, we have been using his nursing pillow every single day without fail. Again, even if you're not nursing, even if you're bottle feeding, I would recommend a pillow like this. You can prop it behind your back so you've got a bit of better support if you're not using it for your baby. I have been using it sort of round my waist like so, or you can have it to the side. There's loads and loads of versatile ways to use this nursing pillow, and even if you're not nursing, or even if you're not feeding your baby, you can sort of just pop it on your lap and sit them on it. It's nice and supportive, and you can also, I think they can do tummy time on these nursing pillows when they're a little bit older. It's a little bit stained, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to tell, but I would definitely recommend getting a nursing pillow whether you're planning on breastfeeding or not. We got a lot of use out of the nursing pillow, and I actually ended up buying one for upstairs, so that I've got one in my living room and I've got one in my bedroom, because at night time, obviously when I breastfeed Elliot, it's, if I forget to bring it up from downstairs, I just know that I've got one in our bedroom and I've got one downstairs, and they're really affordable. I think they were like £12 or something, this nursing pillow, and they're just really comfy, and yeah, I would recommend one of these. Okay, I am gonna stop talking now because I think this is probably gonna be a pretty long video, but I wanted to just thoroughly go through everything that helped us in those newborn days. I really hope you found this video useful if you are pregnant or if you have just come home with your newborn baby. As I've said so many times, Google the 4th trimester because it's really going to help you just understand those newborn days and getting your baby used to their new life in the outside world. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck with your newborn. I really hope you found this video useful. Give it a big thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you again for another video. Bye.